If you've been trying to figure out exactly when Apple will unveil the iPhone 18 Pro, a new leak may have just locked the calendar into place, and it also explains why Apple is reportedly changing one of its most predictable dates of the year. According to Bloomberg's Mark Gurman and his Power, on Newsletter, Apple is now expected to hold its September iPhone event on Wednesday, September 9, 2026. That date matters because once the keynote day is set, everything else falls into line. Pre-order day, release day, and the moment carriers and retailers start pushing trade-in deals and upgrade offers, Apple fans know the pattern. For more than a decade, Apple has typically scheduled its new iPhone launch event around the second week of September, most often on a Tuesday or Wednesday. It's been a near tradition since 2012, with the major exception being 2020, when production delays pushed the iPhone launch into October. So when you hear Wednesday, September 9th, it doesn't sound random. It sounds like Apple doing what Apple always does, just with a very specific reason for choosing Wednesday instead of Tuesday. That reason is Labor Day. In 2026, Labor Day falls on Monday, September 7th, and Apple reportedly avoids hosting a major in-person event right after a holiday weekend. The logic is straightforward. Apple wants a travel day buffer for media, partners, and attendees, and it also doesn't love forcing staff and logistics teams into a crunch that overlaps with a public holiday. So rather than doing Tuesday, September 8th, immediately after the long weekend, the event slides to Wednesday, September 9th, which feels like a classic Apple move. Keep the rhythm, reduce friction, and control the timeline. Now here's where this leak gets especially interesting, because it doesn't just point to the iPhone 18 Pro keynote date. It suggests Apple may also shift the iPhone 18 Pro pre-order schedule, something Apple almost never changes unless it has a very good reason. Normally, Apple opens iPhone pre-orders on the Friday right after the keynote. It's one of the most reliable patterns in consumer tech. Keynote early in the week, pre-orders Friday, phones in stores the following Friday. That's the routine millions of people plan around, especially anyone trying to order early to avoid shipping delays, limited stock, or long delivery windows. But in 2026, that typical pre-order Friday would land on September 11th, and September 11th, 2026 marks the 25th anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Based on Gurman's reporting, Apple is unlikely to choose that date for iPhone 18 Pro pre-orders. Not because it changes the product schedule dramatically, but because Apple is extremely sensitive about optics, messaging, and timing. Even if pre-orders technically go live online, it's still a major commercial moment that triggers headlines, push notifications, social media trends, and non-stop coverage, exactly the kind of attention Apple won't want overlapping with such a significant anniversary. So the leak points to a subtle but meaningful adjustment. iPhone 18 Pro pre-orders may begin on Saturday, September 12th, instead of Friday, September 11th, and Apple has done this before. The last time the typical pre-order Friday landed on September 11th, Apple reportedly moved pre-orders to the next day. If that precedent holds, September 12th becomes the most likely iPhone 18 Pro pre-order date. It's still close enough to keep Apple's supply chain and retail rollout on track, but it sidesteps a date Apple would rather avoid for a major consumer launch milestone. If you're planning to buy the iPhone 18 Pro or iPhone 18 Pro Max on day one, this matters more than it sounds. One day can be the difference between getting launch day delivery and waiting weeks, especially if Apple's most popular storage options or colors sell out early. It also impacts carrier promotions, trade-in windows, and even how quickly Apple's online store shifts into delivery date slipping mode. And if Apple follows its usual timing for pre-order openings, you can expect the pre-order time to remain consistent even if the day changes, typically around 5 a.m. Pacific, 8 a.m. Eastern, and 1 p.m. in the UK. That's when Apple's online store goes from "we'll be back soon" to full checkout chaos, as millions of buyers try to secure their preferred model before shipping windows start sliding. So with an event on Wednesday, September 9th, and pre-orders reportedly moving to Saturday, September 12th, what about the actual iPhone 18 Pro release date, the day the phones hit stores? That part of the schedule looks much more certain. Even when Apple tweaks a pre-order date, it usually keeps the retail release day on a Friday. And in this timeline, that points directly to Friday, September 18th, 2026, as the expected iPhone 18 Pro on-sale date. That's the day you'd likely see the iPhone 18 Pro and iPhone 18 Pro Max available in Apple stores, carrier locations, and major retailers, as well as arriving for customers who ordered online. So the leaked schedule, in the cleanest terms, looks like this. iPhone 18 Pro keynote on September 9th, iPhone 18 Pro pre-order date on September 12th, and iPhone 18 Pro release date on September 18th. This is the kind of detail that sounds small until you realize how many people plan around it. If you're trading in an older iPhone, you might be timing when to back up, wipe, and ship your device. If you're waiting for carrier deals, you'll want to know the exact pre-order moment because some promotions are pre-order only, while others require activation on release day. If you're buying unlocked, you might be watching Apple's delivery estimates minute by minute. And if you're upgrading as a gift or for travel, release day timing can decide whether the phone arrives in time. It's also a reminder of how carefully Apple coordinates its public calendar. The iPhone launch isn't just a product announcement, it's a massive global release operation. Apple has to sync software builds, retail staffing, press schedules, carrier inventory, shipping capacity, and marketing campaigns to a very narrow window. That's why a holiday like Labor Day can push the keynote date, and why a sensitive anniversary like September 11th can push pre-orders by a day without breaking the overall rollout. Now, none of this is official until Apple sends out event invitations and posts the keynote date publicly. Apple can still adjust the schedule, and last-minute shifts do happen, especially if there are supply constraints or production surprises. But when a timeline comes from a source like Mark Gurman, it tends to be taken seriously because it aligns with Apple's historical behavior and its internal planning cadence. So if you've been searching, when is the iPhone 18 Pro event? iPhone 18 Pro keynote September 2026. iPhone 18 Pro pre-order date, or when does iPhone 18 Pro come out? This leak gives the clearest roadmap so far. Apple's September event is expected on Wednesday. September 9th, pre-orders may move to Saturday. September 12th to avoid the 25th anniversary of 9/11. And the iPhone 18 Pro could go on sale Friday, September 18th. Now the real question is what Apple will reveal on that stage, because once the date is set, the countdown becomes real. And if this schedule holds, we're only weeks away from finding out exactly what makes the iPhone 18 Pro the next major step in Apple's flagship lineup.